Well, joining us now, Leela Samson, who has quit as chairperson of the Central Board of Film Certification, will be joined by GVL Narasimha Rao, the spokesperson of the BJP. Also joining us at this stage is Vivek Agnihotri, the film director, and Pankaj Sharma, also a member of the Censor Board, who I believe will also at this stage step down from the Censor Board. Leela Samson, let me come to you first. Now, in your letter, you've written that interference, coercion, and corruption of panel members and officers of the organization who are appointed by the ministry are the reasons why you've chosen to step down. What interference and what coercion?
Vishnu, I'd like to say that this has been going on for a long time. Coercion and interference happens through individuals, through individual groups, through dissident groups, fundamentalist groups, religious organizations. This has gone on for a long time. They stage protests, they write to the government, their members of parliament then make representations, and we are asked to review our decisions.
Is this limited to the NDA government? You say it's been happening?
No, not at all. In fact, it started in Manish Tiwari's time. In the heat that was, generated before the elections, we became a victim, and the the organization has seen a gradual but very definite disintegration.
Would you say that this disintegration...
The right personnel are not in place.
Would you say this disintegration has taken place more now than it was under the UPA? For example, there is a temporary CEO.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Ma'am, it's interesting that you should say this.
There are too many temporary posts there.
It's interesting you should say
CEO
this because the way this has been reported...
The RO is on temporary post.
The way this has been reported throughout the day is that it's an NDA versus UPA kind of issue, but the point that you're trying to make is that corruption, coercion and the institution actually...
Cuts across all party lines.
Yeah, that's interesting, ma'am. GVL Narasimha Rao, do you want to come in on this? That this is not just functioning of the Censor Board under the NDA, it's the institution which has been corrupted in so many ways. That's the problem. There is no independence. This is supposed to be an autonomous body. The last government couldn't ensure that, and this government hasn't been able to do that either.
Vishnu, I can definitely speak for our government that has been in office for 7 months. I think we firmly believe that Censor Board is an independent organization. It's a statutory body and it is completely free to take all decisions regarding its functioning. Our government, and in fact even when the protests erupted over the film PK in the last month or so, I think none of our leaders, none of our spokespersons made any comments about it, because we feel, I think the Censor Board's functioning is sacrosanct, so we did not want to even make any attempts or even make any comments on this. So I think you can understand, and this is a board which was constituted by the previous government. Its tenure had ended in April this year, and we did not want to, we have allowed them to function for some more time. We had requested the members to continue until further decisions are made. So there was, if the government had any bad intentions, if the government had any other intentions, we could have simply replaced the board in the month of May itself.
No, Mr. Rao, is it then correct for me to assume that you were satisfied with the members of the Censor Board? The members, many of whom have now quit or are quitting, that you are happy with them over there? Or did this government, the NDA, want their own people in the board? No,
I think Vishnu, please understand that this is the previous chairman and its board of members had completed their tenure. So obviously a new government is entitled to take it. It does not mean that the same members will be constituted again. But we have, to the best of my knowledge, Vishnu, we have never expressed any unhappiness with the board or its functioning. I am certainly not aware, because we had discussed this PK issue repeatedly in our meetings and we said we should not utter a word. That was the decision that the party had taken. The government did not speak any word against this, the clearance of the film PK. We felt this was the Censor Board's mandate and we should not interfere. That was the principal stand that we had taken.
Pankaj Sharma, why have you also decided to step down from the censor board?
See, not only me, but
several of you.
Most of our colleagues are, now feel that under the situation it has become really difficult to work in the board. Can you imagine that in last 1 year there has been no meeting of the board at all? Quarterly meetings are mandatory.
So that's
Mr.
also the fault of the last government. That's also the fault of the last government.
The fault of this government. In last 8 months, they could not reorganize the board.
No, but you said 1 year, and the reason
they allowed us to work. Thank you very much. You allowed us to work.
But Mr. Sharma, you will not criticize the UPA. You will not, Mr. Sharma, criticize the UPA.
They were not able to reorganize the board.
I take your point. I am only trying to understand whether this entire issue needs to be looked at through a political prism or not. Leela Samson says no, it cannot be looked at through a political prism. But you seem to suggest
it should not be. It should
you
not
seem
be.
to suggest that it should be. You are criticizing this government.
I'm not saying
will you go and say that the UPA was also inefficient in its handling? Mr. Sharma, will you also say the UPA was inefficient in its handling of the censor board?
Most of the board members' tenure was over in last May. Then we have been asked to work till further orders. If they had any trust in us or in the chairperson, they would have allowed us to work for next 3 years, next 2 years, next 1 year. And what sort of independent organization it is?
Mr. Rao, go ahead.
Do you know that the board or the chairperson, the board or the chairperson cannot even transfer an officer if there are complaints against him or her?
Go ahead, Mr. Rao.
Do it. Chairperson is not empowered to
transfer
an officer.
Mr. Sharma, 1 minute. Go ahead, GVL Narasimha Rao, sir.
I think it's improper for Pankaj Sharma not to reveal that he also doubles up as the spokesperson for the Congress party.
Absolutely.
And despite that, we had not made any.
That I am, yes.
Please reveal the facts.
No, but Mr. Sharma, do you disagree with what Leela Samson has to say?
I don't consider your opinion
Mr. Sharma, do you disagree with what Leela Samson has to say when she says this is not an NDA versus UPA issue? Do you disagree with that?
I am also saying this is not NDA versus UPA issue. I am also saying this.
Right.
But
you are not going to criticize the UPA,
when you are saying that it is an independent institution, what sort of independence it is? That chairperson or the board cannot even transfer an officer from here to there if there are certain complaints.
Well, that wasn't the case earlier. That wasn't the case earlier either.
Two. Then why there was no board meeting for last 1 year or say for last 8 months?
Fair enough. That's a fair point.
Why?
That's a fair point. Leela Samson, ma'am, let me ask you this question. A couple of questions. Firstly, the INB minister, MOS, Rajyavardhan Singh Rathore said that part of the problem of the censor board becoming ineffectual was because you hardly ever attended office. There was another comment that was made that many of these films had not been reviewed by you. You had a minimal role in reviewing many of the films in the last period of time.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I have not seen MSG. When PK was given certification, I did not see it. There's no need for the chairperson or the board members to see these films. Every film in India cannot be viewed by the board and certainly not by the chairperson. There are panels which are set up by the government, and 5 among those people in any particular area view and certify a film.